Good morning, guys. 9:30 or 9:45, sorry, and it feels hot today, very hot. Sun's out. So I'm just gonna do a quick video, just purely explaining exactly the proper reasons why I actually came to Thailand and what I felt like, why I felt I needed to get away from the UK. I have sort of posted this on a few other videos, but I'm going to put the title basically why I left the UK. I've had a few people asking and stuff, so if the honest truth why I actually left, there's a number of things. Let's start from maybe September. Last September last year, I came to Thailand with my friend. We only went to Phuket. Had a 2 week, only a short holiday, 2 week holiday, trained on the fitness street in Phuket. And basically it was just a great holiday, relaxing, peaceful, everything I wanted out of life, you know, training twice a day, the sun was good, the weather was good, the food was good, the people, the culture, I've never experienced how nice they were, you know. And I come back and I got straight back into work. Routine was just going by, week in, week out, you know. In between all this, I wasn't really too happy at all in my relationship. It was slowly breaking down, you know, from living together to sleeping in separate bedrooms to a point of, you know, not really seeing each other to probably 7 o'clock at night, and then maybe having a couple of hours at tops if we're lucky with each other, and then, you know, then we was off to bed, you know. So my routine worked out every day. I could tell you exactly what I was doing. You know, I would get up early in the morning, she would go to work, I would go to work. Lucky enough, I had my own tattoo shop, so I had it better than most people. You know, I had my own gym in there and had my boxing set up, you know, weight set up. I would go to work, she would do my training at shop, walk the dog in the morning before that, do the training, get set up for tattooing. So I was up early, I was up at 5:30, in the shop probably for like 6:30, 7:15, doing my training, a bit of stretching or whatever I'd do, maybe a nice bath, and then I would get ready for tattooing, and then I would work. Now I didn't work long, you know, I always prioritised my routine more than work, so I only worked from 9 to 2 o'clock, you know, so 5 hours with half an hour dinner break, but that was enough for me. I finished work and then I would train again, and then I would sort some designs out, hang around in the shop, and then obviously I would go home, and then I would walk the dog, and then obviously I'd make tea for Lee, and then maybe a couple of hours later, maybe 7 o'clock, and it just weren't cutting it. You know, I just thought, this can't, you know, be my life every day. Every day I could write out the book, you know. The connection was growing massively between us. Been together 27 years. Had a few breakups. Many a times it's been my fault in the past, but this time, you know, I stopped drinking. I weren't going out socialising or pubs or anything like that for years, you know. Picked a different routine of life, and so it wasn't working basically. I was then just every day just doing the same thing, you know. I wasn't drinking anymore, so I wasn't going out. I was never a big drinker anyway, but I used to go out like once every 3 weeks or once every 4 weeks. But I found that I had nothing really to look forward to at weekends. You know, started going on like holidays, like training holidays, just to try and break it up, because obviously I stopped going away with all lads holidays because of drinking and all that and damaging my body. It just weren't for me anymore. There's nothing to do with any of my mates or any of the lads, because they're all decent people, you know. But it was just me. I was going through that sort of change where, you know, the drinking and damaging my body just weren't for me anymore. So we started going on lads holidays. I mean, bringing some lads from boxing gym down to these holidays. Started visiting places like Tenerife and Thailand, and just going down different gyms and doing training and stuff, you know, like a little bit of a training camp, but also having a few shandies, you know, every now and again, or having a little wander out or something, you know. So that was okay, but it wasn't constant enough, you know. I felt like I'm working all these months out of the year, and I'm probably maybe getting 2 or 3 little holidays. What's better than most people? But for me, it was just like I was wasting so much time in my life, and it was getting me down. Definitely getting me down. So I needed to make a change. I needed to get out of the UK, and how I felt when I was in Thailand, I loved it. I loved the freedom, the feeling, I think we spoke about. So I decided to go back. I just went back on my own this time. I just packed my suitcase, split up with a girlfriend. Like I say, things weren't going well. We sat down and spoke for probably about 4 or 5 months, and just nothing was getting resolved. Wasn't the life I wanted to live. So I packed my suitcase and off I went. And the plan was to do 3 months over there and come back to the UK and do 3 months. Obviously, when I split up with the ex, then a lot of drama caused. Kids started falling out with me, this, that. You're not allowed to see grandkids, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. And then the showing up of my ex is constantly showing up at my house or at my shop because my dad lives upstairs. I couldn't cope with the stress. It was getting me down. It's like I couldn't get away from that fucking circle. It was like a circle of misery really for me at that time, and it was really getting me down. So I just thought, I'm going man. Something in my brain said I need to get out of there, and that's what I did. I went. And I never really looked back. It's a bit like when I opened a tattoo shop. I just went for it, fucking learnt on a job, and never looked back. Same as I did with plastering and other things I've learnt in my life, you know what I mean? But this time it was a never look back. How I feel when I was in Thailand. I liked the feeling. The stress was gone. The work, commitments. I wasn't around anyone bringing me down. I could relax and enjoy my life. I had no one, watching over me, or I feel like I'm having to watch my footsteps in Morecambe. It's only a small place, Morecambe. Can't breathe without fucking somebody knowing. I just needed away from that. Never in my life would I have ever thought that I would have wanted to move away, especially from my family or my shop, my business. What I built up. I would never thought I would have been okay to live away, but here I am now, and this is like 12 months later. I'm in Thailand. I'm enjoying myself. Like I said on 1 or 2 of my other videos, the stress, everything's gone. I'm feeling good, positive. I'm looking forward to every day I wake up. Every day is different. I'm doing everything I want to do in every day. I enjoy myself. I'm doing all natural, healthy things. It's just this is how I wanted to live my life in this specific time. I'm 40, nearly 46, so I could hang on. I could work to 55, work to 60, but you're not guaranteed them years, are you? People are just dropping down left, right and centre. I think I went to like 4 or 5 funerals within a year when I was in the UK, and some were young people, some were old people, some were middle aged. A lot of suicides are happening now in the UK, massively. People are feeling the same, and until they break out of that circle, they're never going to experience what the other side of life is like when they get away from that area and maybe go to Thailand or somewhere what gives them peace, you know what I mean? But for me, it was a good thing to get away. I was seeing people, the months were flying by, the weeks were flying by, even the years, tattooing people, and it was like 8 years since I last seen them, one of them, and it felt like a year ago. And I thought, what have I done in them 8 years? I thought, I had a few fucking lads holidays, and nothing really, just been working, and I see all my mates and they're just doing the same routine every week, out in the pubs, drink, you know what I mean? And I just thought the same for me. I want sunshine, I want the nice training, I want the gyms, I want the nice culture, I want the food, I thrive for all that sort of stuff. I love everything about Thailand. I love the gyms, the training, fucking the people. If I want a pad session, I can just go and negotiate with one of the trainers and get 5 or 6 rounds on pads for fucking £6 or something. I want a massage, I can get it done for £4. So obviously I had to do a little bit of preparing for this, coming up to this day. I knew I wanted to get away, so I had to put things in order. I had a few properties, I had a bungalow. I had to start cutting down my outgoings massively. I had to start shrinking things down. I had to start getting rid of any liabilities, complete liabilities. I had to get rid of things, just downsize on everything. Rented my bungalow out, moved into one of my little flats, cut down on the bills by a quarter. Got rid of any liabilities, the car and stuff, what I obviously loved, because it was a good car, but I just thought I don't need it. And then I really started narrowing things down. Still got a few more things to get rid of. You know, I've got my ice bath and chill tub and, you know, a few boxing bits in the shop, you know. But I'm not going to be getting the use out of them, so I'm going to have to let go of them, you know what I mean? I'll always keep 1 or 2 of them, but you know, I've still got a few more things to sell basically. But I made that decision, and that decision come from studying YouTube and studying people retired, how they felt, how they feel, and the mindset they had to change. I started studying financial things. I really started educating myself, and I believe if you want to do something, you've got to educate yourself on it. And then the more you educate yourself, that's when you start believing and thinking that way out of what you need to. You need to learn about it, then you think like that. And that was that really. So here I am now, 12 months down the line. Been back to UK a few times. Obviously, I'll always keep going back to UK to see my dad. Another fucking bang, man. See my son. And even though I'm classed as retired now, I might go and do a little bit of work still. You know, I've got a couple of properties what I rent out. That pays for my income while I'm over here. I don't need a lot of money, you know what I mean? But everything Thailand, and up to now I'm loving it. And to be fair, I don't want to go back to UK. You know, I hope and pray that people, you know, come over here and see me when they can, some family, and obviously I'll come back to UK. But this is going to be my home, I think, from now on. You know, think about the crime as well. You've got how much stabbings and danger. How dangerous is the UK now compared to what it used to be? You know, you can't even fucking walk out your house and feel 100% relaxed. It's nice in some areas, don't get me wrong. You know, you got Baird and Baltley Sands. I'm talking to my mate about this. You know, you're not going to see that. But if you're stuck in the middle of the town centre, or on probably, you know, 70% of Morecambe, you know, you're going to see a lot of idiots, a lot of trouble. Yeah, so that was it really. But basically the first things I said at the beginning, they're the main things. And obviously you got the other things like the government, the politics, the fucking laws, bringing out the tax, you know, how the country's run by all these fucking, you know, people who just, like, how do they get the power to control things, you know? Who writ the rule about working till you're 67, you know? I just don't get it. I don't get it, man. So I can go on, but I think most people are on the same mindset when they're in Thailand, thinking the same. That's why they come over here. So that's it, that just sums it up. Short video of why I actually left UK Morecambe and came to live another life. And do I regret it? Not one bit, not one fraction of a second do I not regret it. I feel happy here, and I know how I feel when I go back to the UK. It takes me about a week and I start feeling like shit, being surrounded by fucking negativity and the shit weather and the rest of the shit what comes with the UK. So for me, it's a no-no. God bless, take care.